Hello, folks. It's your host, ComradeBard, and you're listening to BardStock Hobby Radio. With the recent reveal of new crossover cards featuring the Transformers and Assassin's Creed, as well as the announcement of $1,000 proxies, the drama over Unfinity and the universe's beyondedness of Warhammer has officially fizzled out. And that makes now the perfect time to hold a genuine discussion pertaining to the latter two products. Between the Warhammer Commander decks and Unfinity set, September's spoilers were jam-packed with a plethora of new cards for Magic's most popular format. Rather than merely fixating on the new cards, though, I'd like to give a brief overview of some older cards that have benefited from and work well with these latest products. So, let's jump right into it. First on my list is Tamio's Journal. Tamio's Journal is a 5-mana legendary artifact with, at the beginning of your upkeep, Investigate. And then you can tap it to sacrifice 3 clues and search your library for a card and put that card into your hand, then shuffle your library. Tamio's Journal has been a fine inclusion for many decks, offering an avenue for card draw, albeit rather slowly, for decks of any color identity. However, it's definitely a budget option for this, and it's a regular on the chopping block for many players looking to upgrade their lists. Its real staying power, however, has been mostly in Lonus lists, and to a lesser degree, Adrix and Nev lists, with both being blue-green options. Now, however, Tamio's Journal can be quite the powerhouse of a card in the new blue, black, and white commander, Marneus Calgar. Marneus is a legendary creature, Astartes Warrior, who costs 2 generic, a white, a blue, and a black. He is a 3/5 with double strike, and whenever one or more tokens enter the battlefield under your control, draw a card. And you may also activate his second ability by paying 6 to create 2 2/2 white Astartes Warrior creature tokens with Vigilance. Consistent and incremental token production is the name of the game here, and cards like Tamio's Journal provide that. What's nice too is that since you're drawing cards just by creating tokens, you can focus on saving your clues to tutor with Tamio's Journal, rather than sacrificing them individually for card advantage. Though spending the mana for an extra card draw can still be worth it if you're running cards that have abilities that trigger from drawing. Also pairing well with Marneus is Fairy Formation. Fairy Formation is a 5/4 flying fairy creature. It costs 4 generic and 1 blue, and you can activate it by paying 3 generic and 1 blue to create a 1/1 blue fairy creature token with flying, and then draw a card. Fairy Formation is a card that I am yet to see across the table from me, but it puts in work when you have mana to spare. Now with Marneus, its ability is more potent, giving you a fairy token and 2 additional cards in hand. But there are many cards that find a new home with Marneus, so let us move on to some cards of a different ilk. With Unfinity's new attractions, cards that utilize an artifact-heavy board state are stronger than ever before, as you can now have an extra tertiary deck stocked fully with artifacts. The one downside is that you need a means of opening your attractions, but swapping out a few cards from an artifact deck to include things that will open your attractions is a trade-off worth considering. 2 cards in particular I think are worth mentioning are Tezzeret Master of the Bridge and Clock of Omens. Tezzeret Master of the Bridge is a planeswalker who costs 4 generic, a blue, and a black. It gives your creature and planeswalker spells affinity for artifacts, meaning that they cost 1 less to cast for each artifact you control. And I'd like to highlight his +2 ability, which has him deal X damage to each opponent, where X is the number of artifacts you control, and then you gain X life. Clock of Omens, on the other hand, no pun intended, is a 4-mana artifact that allows you to tap 2 untapped artifacts you control to untap target artifact. Both cards give your attractions the added benefit of impacting your board state even if your visit rolls are not lucrative. As attractions themselves are artifacts, they can enable Tezzeret's affinity for artifacts passive and substantially fuel his +2 ability in decks that are not even necessarily artifact-centric. And, with respect to Clock of Omens, your attractions can be tapped down to untap your mana rocks, or any number of utility artifacts you might be running. And if you're looking for a less budget-conscious option to get some extra zing out of your attractions, look no further than Urza Lord High Artificer. Urza's presence on board is going to let all of your attractions function as mana rocks, and innately provide you with a solid mana sink to put all that extra mana towards. Switching gears back to Warhammer, however, I'd like to bring quick attention to a couple of cards that have found a new home with Commissar Severina Rain, who, for 1 generic, 1 white, and 1 black, is a legendary creature human soldier. She is a 2/2 with whenever Commissar Severina Rain attacks, each opponent loses X life, where X is the number of other attacking creatures. And you can activate her by paying 2 and sacrificing another creature to gain 2 life and draw a card. The first card I think that pairs really well with her is Throne of the God Pharaoh. It functions wonderfully with her first ability, as long as you aren't running many creatures with Vigilance. Throne of the God Pharaoh, for those out of the know, is a 2-mana legendary artifact At the beginning of your end step, each opponent loses life equal to the number of tapped creatures you control. So, if you're consistently attacking on each of your turns with the Commissar, Throne of the Godpharaoh will put all of your opponents on an even faster clock. Second is Maze of Ith, a good choice for many attack trigger oriented commanders, but it is especially useful when your commander is small, as is the case with Commissar Severina Rain, a 2/2 as I mentioned earlier. Maze of Ith is a land that taps to untap target attacking creature, prevent all combat damage that would be dealt to and dealt by that creature this turn. With Maze, you can attack without having to worry about her being blocked, or needing the means to make her unblockable, thus making it safe to trigger her first ability whenever you go to combat. And since her first ability is life loss instead of damage, you don't have to worry about it fizzling out. The Commissar also helps to really flesh out certain lists for a partner commander who is not very popular, Cider Kondo of Jamura. Cider Kondo is a 2/5 legendary creature human knight who costs 2 generic, 1 green, and 1 white, with flanking, and creatures your opponents control without flying or reach can't block creatures with power 2 or less. And of course, he has partner. Inside our lists that include black as one of its colors, the Commissar fits right in, as she's a creature with 2 power, which Sidar makes pseudo unblockable. Sidar also promotes going wide with small creatures, which means the Commissar's ability is both being fueled by Sidar's existing strategy, and that strategy has gained a massive boon by having your opponents lose more life than they otherwise would with your weenie-filled board state. And for the final card of the day, I'd like to refer back to Unfinity and its other prominent feature, tickets and stickers. Controversial though they may be, there's no denying that there are some strong and interesting stickers, so for those that won't go rabid at the mere sight of them at the table, consider the following. Tickets are a new type of counter that is placed on the player. As such, they benefit from cards like Winding Constrictor, Lae'zel, and any proliferators, all of which can increase the number of counters put on a player. With that in mind, if you're looking to play a commander who both benefits the sticker strategy and has a color identity that exceeds 2 colors, then the clear choice is Atraxa, Praetor's Voice. Atraxa is a 4/4 legendary creature angel horror who costs 1 green, 1 white, 1 blue, and 1 black. She has Flying, Vigilance, Death Touch, Lifelink, and, at the beginning of your end step, Proliferate. Atraxa being a powerful commander for a new set of cards is hardly a novel occurrence, but building her as the helm of a sticker deck might open the door for many to play her in a more casual environment without completely neutering the power level of the deck. Of course, that also depends on your choice of sticker sheets and how degenerate you'd like to be with how you augment her or your other creatures. What's also nice about running Atraxa as your sticker commander is that she can house both the sticker-themed commanders in the 99, those being Ambassador Blorpity Blorp Boop and Tuscan Whiskers. Though I'm afraid that's all we have time for today, but there are many other cards that synergize well with new cards from Warhammer and Unfinity. If you have any cool cards in mind, please don't be afraid to write in. I've been your host, ComradeBard, and you've been listening to BardStock Hobby Radio. And until next time, folks, keep things excellent.